I've always found it interesting that people will be quick to negate the truth of God, but they will accept anything satanic. Anything satanic or demonic. You guys are freaking crazy, man. It actually, I was there before. I was not a Christian always, and there was stuff that I was kind of like, I align myself with the whole idea that nothing good lasts forever and that kind of stuff. It's purely satanic. Well, a whole lot of folks are looking at replays of what happened at the Grammys or whatever that freaking award show was. I don't watch any of that stuff anymore. It's just stupid now. But people are watching this stuff and they're just thinking to themselves like, there's a lot of people out there. There's like a very big difference between what folks are willing now to look at as they're getting a little older, but also they're looking at stuff and they're saying, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why would they be doing that? Why would these two black females be doing this? And then how is this empowering women? Why does dressing up little girls like grown women and parading them before grown men, how does that empower women? How does sexualizing children, how does freaking sexualizing little boys to look like little girls for some crazy deviant dudes out there, how does that work, And so people are just kind of looking at this, like a lot of people are just looking at this and they're just kind of going, well, we're just a freer society. We're more like Europe. Like, does Europe? Well, actually, that freaking Denmark video I did last week, I guess it is. But there's things around this world that people are trying to normalize, but they just equate it with like people who are like weird or who have a sexual issue or whatever. What people are really not wanting to address is that there's a spirit, an actual spirit behind this stuff. It is, first off, it's one of I guess you call it complacent indecency. I'm coming up with a freaking like a phrase right now. Complacent indecency. We're complacent about what is acceptable, and then the indecency is shown over and over and over and over and over again. It becomes repetitive so that it becomes almost normal. And so what happens is individuals will actually align themselves with what they see, call it good and normal, and then they will accept it. They'll accept it whole cloth without actually asking a question like, why is this being done? And what would really possess someone to think that it's okay? Well, that entire phrase, what would possess you to do yada yada? What would possess you yada yada? Well, to address this directly, there are spirits in this world who are doing their dangest to change decency into indecent, and then to call decent indecent. I hope that didn't freaking just lose you on that. To call, or in other respects, to call good evil. So then what is good, what actually is good, is turned into evil, and then to call what's evil actually good. So to turn something that people do against one another, that people hurt one another, or people do things against other people, they'll call that good. And then the evil will call good evil. So then they'll flip it on its head. And so those who actually are good will be called evil, and those who are evil will actually be called good. Well, that's actually a spirit of deception there. And that is something that where people are living in deception, they are living out Romans chapter 1. Well, in that deception, like what you'll see at these award shows, are people who are trying to deceive the masses into believing that it's okay for an actual sexual gyrating act to be done from female to female on video, or actually on recorded as a way of expressing female liberty and female empowerment. But what's happening is people are being exposed more and more to what is indecent, and they're being told that this is what's decent now. What you knew as being decent before is no longer decent. In fact, that stuff that was before is now indecent. It's caged. It's not free. Okay, so you have to understand that how this whole thing works. How it works is you expose especially children, but you expose women to what might be actual sexual fantasies, and you make that mainstream. And the sexual fantasies are used as a tool to make children and women feel as if they need to do those things to be sexual or to be right with men. So what's ends up happening, what's called female empowerment, is actually exposing these women to male indiscretions. So and this is what happens in porn all the time, okay? So I'm just telling you straight up what happens in porn. So the pornographic becomes normal. So why am I saying this to you? Because I need to get to the point. I'm saying this to you because there's actually a spirit out there that desires to do that to women and children and to people and the men, to make them feel a certain way about their own bodies, but also make them feel a certain way about the world. And the best way to do that is by impacting people sexually and to making sex into not only just an object, but as a means and a tool to create addiction. And that addiction is all sexual. So what you saw in that award show were addicts exposing their addiction before the world. And that addiction is one that will cause other people to want to be exposed to it as well too, and then to use it, and then spiritually to be used against the masses. You as a person that sees this and goes, I'm not watching that. What you're actually doing is you are fighting spiritually against something that's demonic. And I'm just calling it what it is. It's not freeing, it's not liberty, it's actually demonic. And if people want to disagree about it, you can disagree all you want to, but it's demonic, okay? And I'm not going to change my mind. And I'll preach that from the hilltop, because all these things that people are trying to make normal, all they're doing is degrading the society. All they're doing is making women and little children more susceptible to an evil that goes into their skin, and that skin sin becomes normalized, and then people are just jacked. So what do you get to do? What's your alternative to that? Your alternative actually is to turn it off. And I'm waiting for what the ratings actually were for that fiasco. I'm glad that Bill Burr got up there and was talking smack, because Bill Burr is hilarious anyway. And then the whole thing with all the SJW stuff. It's all a facade. It's all a lie. Even what they call rioting being peaceful, then peaceful protests, actual peaceful protests being called violent, and certain mayors and stuff like that just negating the truth about their circumstances. You just need to know what's happening out there in the world, that as it's being turned on its head, this is actually a spiritual battle. It's a spiritual war. And people who are Christian are individuals who know what's going on. People who understand where this stuff stems from, how it actually works, and where it actually leads. You got to pay attention to this stuff, because it leads to some wild stuff. And you as a normal society, you don't want to go there. But people are trying to drive this. And these people, if you look at their spirituality, it truly is set and centered on the demonic. Okay? So I want to say this to you because I want you to understand what's happening. You're not looking at female empowerment. You're not looking at a liberated society. You're actually looking at people becoming more and more slaves to something, slaves to their skin. That's why people are so slaves to this SJW stuff. They're slaves to they literally are slaves to their skin, the ideology behind their skin. And it's sad. But to call it what it is, to call it evil, that's going to be called at some point evil. For me doing that, it's going to be called evil at some point. So I'm getting my licks in now. I'm freaking just throwing jabs, because you need to know how to fight. The way that you fight about this, the way that you fight these things is, first off, you turn it off. Then you pull a Hillary Clinton on your brain. You pull a bleach bit on your brain. And you wash yourself in what's true, what's noble. You wash yourself in what's honorable, what's lovely, what displays real gifts of God, not on real enslavement and entanglement of the devil. These things are real, these things are true. And if you're willing to actually call it what it is, that it was debaucherous, it was evil, it was all sexualized, and it was satanic, call it what it is, and watch who actually goes against you. Because the people who go against you, who stand against you, who tell you that no, this is not that, and you're just taking it too serious, you got to understand who those people are. Because they might be a part of your family, they might be individuals who you love and care about, but they might be influenced deeply by something much more sinister and dark than you could ever imagine. Don't question it. Just being real with you, this stuff is real. It's making itself manifest in mainstream. And the more it makes itself manifest, the more that it exposes itself, the more that you will not be able to deny that what I'm saying is true. The demonic is becoming normal in American society, and Americans need to cut it off, walk away, and get themselves some Jesus, because Jesus quenches that crap.